we are about to jump into the discussion zone where you are welcome, obviously, with your thoughts, comments, and contributions via our Facebook page, Africa Global Radio. On Twitter, AF Global Radio. The hashtag is the Africa Daily Show. On our WhatsApp platform, +233 207064 680. It's all about migration yesterday. Well, beginning of the week is all about migration. Started a bit in and out of it, looking at the overview, definitions, types, and all of that. Came all the way, looked at the rural urban migration, vice versa. Yep, yesterday we touched on people living Africa, to Europe, America, Middle Eastern countries and all of that, just migrating out of Africa. What are some of the reasons? We had the privilege of speaking to some expats, one who also migrated, from Ghana to Europe, to the USA specifically, and he shared his experience with it. He came back home, actually, and we had an interaction, very interesting. Today, we're looking at diasporans moving from, the diaspora back to the motherland. And we will be speaking to an individual who actually fits in that, category. But before we do that, let's begin conversation right here in the studio with my colleagues, Epi, Mami, and of course, Hafiz. Don't go.
Where we they go, where we they go. What's up, the Strigmatic, and you're on Africa Global Radio. Our story, our goal, our future. Check out www.africaglobalradio.com where Africa lives. We're telling you the African story.
All right, the show was Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio. Welcome wherever you are streaming us live from. And yeah, where you can actually stream us live is africaglobalradio.com. That is if you're watching us on Facebook, yeah. And after the show, you can listen to the show as well. AGR On Demand, the podcast version is right there. Okay, let's begin with my people in the studio. Hello, guys, once again.
Hello.
Hi.
Is the fire still on? Is it still on?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like
burning hot.
It's burning hot, eh?
Yeah.
But I'll call you burning spare today. All right, Hafiz.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me start with you. Migration. Yesterday we looked at emigration, moving from Africa to the diaspora,
Yeah.
wherever it is that the person is moving to, based on his own his or her purpose or reasons and all of that. But today we're looking at the other way around, moving from the diaspora to Africa, and that's we call immigration, right? So let's just start. We see people moving to Africa, day in, day out, but moving to settle is another conversation on its own. But let's have what you say.
Yes, Barry, to start this conversation, I think we need to realize that it will be misguided to portray a move from Europe to Africa as an easy one.
Okay.
In fact, I wouldn't like to be in their shoes. It is not.
Why do you say so?
It is not. I'll come to that in a bit.
But
But because of the enormity of such a decision, you realize that they are constantly having to ask themselves certain questions before they decide to make that move. And so questions such as what sort of safety nets exist for them to cushion their landing when they eventually make that transition.
Okay.
Or questions such as what sort of opportunities exist for them to focus on when they move. So it's a cocktail of questions that you need to deal with before you actually come in. In fact, you would have to actually sit back and analyze what sort of systems exist that will definitely help you through the rough patch. So it's not one decision you take on a whim. It's something you need to really think about and decide that is what you actually want. But then again, we need to realize that these questions persist around the issue of homecoming when it comes to diasporans.
Okay.
Simply for one reason. And that is Africa isn't exactly communicating a lot of the success stories out there. So you find a lot of people going back and forth on this decision as to whether or not they actually want to
come back
make that move
to Africa.
But then to go into specifics as to what exactly constitute the reason why a lot of people decide that, look, I've had enough out there. I want to come back home to the motherland.
Right.
It makes it sound spiritual. I don't know where the motherland thing comes from. Anyway, but
The cradle of civilization is all here. Yeah.
Yes. So you have people reaching that conclusion. I want to make that trip back home.
Right.
And you realize that for starters, for some, it has to do with the systemic barriers that exist that prevents you from attaining your full potential out there.
Okay.
Yes, as a person of color. Yes. Let me try give you an example. And so, in the realm of sports, I don't know if you do NFL.
The
Yes.
American football
is
thing?
this, yes. Is this
Not
name
really.
Colin Kaepernick?
Oh,
Yes.
the one who took a knee.
Yes.
Right.
What he did was take a knee
Mm.
in protest.
Mm.
And what did we see? His career has taken a nosedive.
Mm.
He's been treated like a pariah.
Mm.
And for some reason, no club wants to have anything to do with him.
With them. Mm.
Okay. So they're still telling him that, look, yes, you can achieve everything that you want to achieve, but then there's a limit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That you can't go beyond. We still
There's
own
nothing
you.
like an endless thing
Exactly.
for you.
We still
right.
own you.
Mm.
If you go overboard, we have the power to cut you loose.
Mm.
That is essentially what they're telling you.
Mm.
In the same vein, you have, let's move to England, where, I mean, we sort of watch a lot of football.
Right. Right.
Yes, I'm sure you're familiar with the name Marcus Rashford.
Oh yeah. The Manchester
Epi is my-
United fan. I mean, you should mention it very well. Don't just rush and mention it. That name.
Really?
Yeah. Be very
Okay.
careful.
So, I mean, when you take the case of Marcus Rashford,
Mm.
I mean, we all saw what the sort of works he did when at the height of the pandemic.
COVID. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially when it
The
came
food distribution
Yes.
and all.
to
Mm-hmm.
helping kids and everything.
Mm.
Now, this was a guy that did so well and got a lot of commendations.
Mm.
Now, immediately this guy turns around to purchase a house.
Mm.
What do we see? We saw the Daily Mail, or yes, it was the Mail actually,
Mm.
caption a story in a very distasteful manner.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's okay for me to put it out there, but then it simply said campaigning football star Marcus Rashford buys 5 luxury houses with more than £2 million.
Mm.
Now, for someone that is not aware or conscious, this is an ordinary headline. But then, if you are conscious, you can't. You notice that there is a little bit of undertone in there.
Mm.
How dare a black man spend his own money, basically?
Mm.
I
But he
mean,
owns the money.
exactly. That shouldn't even come to question. I'm sure you still remember the issue involving Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have these little things going on in there that sort of stifles
Okay.
black excellence out there. And for some, they feel these are barriers. I've had enough.
So I need to
Yes.
head back home. Okay, I'll come back to you. Epi! You mentioned Marcus Rashford and you were like, half it, be very careful though. Don't just mention. But then, okay, real quick, Epi. Let's move away from Marcus Rashford for now. So, immigration. Have you actually had an interaction with someone who actually, decides to move from abroad to Africa?
I've had people who have moved to Africa for various reasons.
Okay.
Yes, to do different things.
To stay?
Yes, your first time move come to stay. Most often, for those that I know, it's because of some kind of purpose. It's purpose based,
Right.
purpose defined. They feel like there's what they're actually coming to do. I think there was this couple that moved to live in one of those. I don't want to say a village, but it's located in South Africa.
Okay.
And they just wanted to come and do charity, good works for the people there.
Okay.
So they literally sold all their property in the States and
Okay.
then came down here. And they are not blacks, actually. They're not African Americans. These are
The Europeans,
exactly. So they came down to just come and do good works,
Right.
charity. That was it for them. And they are not the only type, the only kind. We have different people who have also come down to stay here to do so many things for different purposes. The whole mentality about coming down here and that it's a big thing, yes, it is a big decision for them because they have not necessarily lived here. For those who have not lived here before,
Right.
it's like a very big step. But for those who have, there's that thing where you're caught in the middle. You're not necessarily over there. You're not necessarily accepted as an European. When you come here, though you're an African American, there's American part attached to it. So you're
Right.
not necessarily going to be accepted fully. So there's also that apprehension in there. Now, if you're coming to stay, you have to learn how to deal with all of these, how to integrate and how to be accepted into the society in which you put yourself in.
Okay.
And for various decisions, people follow through. For some of them, economic could be like the main thing.
Okay.
For some of them, it's for philanthropic work. For some of them, it's for social reasons. Different reasons bring
Okay.
them here. And for you to actually keep on despite the challenges you might encounter here, because some of them come and then, this normal mosquitoes we are used to seeing and stuff is not necessarily a problem for us, because we're used to having mosquitoes just everywhere, play with our legs in
Yeah,
the night,
yeah.
and I find it's normal. You
Yeah.
just be hitting them and they're gone. But if you put someone who is not used to such a thing in this situation, it'll
Yeah.
become a problem. You have mosquito bites every night, like
Right.
malaria and all those. So they have to adjust and adapt. They have to look at all these things because they're like challenges for them.
Right.
But I believe there are different reasons that compel people to actually come down to Africa.
Okay. Well, before I get to Mame, we have Madam Keren Johnson on the line, and she happens to be, that individual. Of course, we are honored to have her, who, is befitting, to talk to when it comes to one who has actually moved from the diaspora to Africa, specifically Ghana, West Africa. And she will be sharing with us her experiences, actually, and all of that. Hello, good afternoon, madam, and welcome to the Africa Daily Show. Hello? Hello, good afternoon, welcome to the Africa Daily Show. Okay, we will try and re-establish contact with her. And then we see. Hello, good afternoon, welcome to the Africa Daily Show, madam. Okay, as we try to re-establish contact, let me get to Mame. Mame,
Barry.
what's up? I mean, by courtesy you, we had Nanaya yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about the other way around.
Okay. I would like to take us back a bit.
Okay.
I remember when the Black Lives Matter protest was ongoing.
Right.
I remember we had a discussion. I think the whole week we looked at systematic racism.
Yep.
And then I remember all of us talking about, if you're in a place and the people are not accepting you, why don't you just come back home?
Yeah.
But then I think for somebody who has built a life in a certain place,
Right
it will
from
be-
the
right
onset,
from the scratch, it will be hard to just uproot everything
just migrate.
and relocate to the motherland.
Right.
It will be hard because some of them have businesses there, some of them have schools, some of them have so many things.
Right.
But I feel like before one can decide to migrate to the motherland or back to their homeland, a lot of thoughts would have to go into it, a lot of planning, so many things.
Okay.
Because some of them haven't even lived from the mother. Some of them moved when they were kids,
Okay.
and then or some of them were actually born there,
Uh-huh.
so they don't know what life is like on the motherland or in the homeland.
Okay.
Right? So here's a situation where this is the place I've known all my life. Now, because of something that is happening, because I'm not being accepted, or because of one thing or the
Or
other,
the other,
I have to uproot my life and then come back to a place I do not know. I might have family members, I
Right.
might have friends here, but I don't know how the system works in here. So I think before a person will decide to move down, they would have to like come down like a couple of times, maybe
Okay.
one Christmas, maybe
Yeah.
Easter,
To
just
experience
just to
the-
have
yeah, have a
experience, to
feel.
survey, it's like to see, can I cope here? Will I be able to establish a business?
Right.
What if I want to establish a business? What will my target markets be?
Be,
Talk
that's
to people
true.
who have moved back.
Absolutely.
And I know there's this group, Diaspora,
Yes.
which is a group for people who have moved back home.
Right.
So I feel like all of these people will come down, join this group, so they can get experiences from other people who have also relocated back,
Okay.
who have had to move their lives from a place they have known to a place they do not know. So I would say moving back is
It's not an easy thing, yeah.
at all.
It takes that bold
Even just look at moving from here
to a
to
different
a different
place
country.
within.
even for schooling or something.
It's not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing, because
Right.
then comes the thought of accommodation.
Yep.
If you have kids, schools. I mean,
How to cope with the environment.
it's a
you
whole
know?
lot of issues
Right.
when it comes to relocating.
Okay. 25 past 2 p.m. Okay, let's try and see if we can get hold of Madam Keren Johnson. That would be sharing her experiences with us right here on the Africa Daily Show. Well, you can share yours as well if you are, even though you're not, maybe you might not be a member of the Diasporan group. You could be that one person who has actually moved down to Africa, and some of the reasons why you did that's not specifically Ghana, wherever it is. Okay, I think we have her online. Good afternoon and welcome to the Africa Daily Show. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Africa Daily Show, madam.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Well, sorry for the challenge. It was a bit of
That's all
technical
right.
issues, but yeah, we got it all solved right now. It's great to have you.
It's great to be on the call. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we have been talking about migration since the beginning of this week, and we looked at rural urban migration, migrating from from Africa to another different African countries, and of course looking at people who move from Africa to the diaspora. And today we are looking at movement from the diaspora to Africa. And God being so good, He revealed you to us. And you know what? We had to engage you in some of the experiences and of course decisions why you decided to just come over here. But then, when did you come to Ghana?
I came to Ghana in September of this year, but I have been traveling back and forth between my place in Los Angeles and where I'm currently in Accra since 2016.
Since 2016?
Yes.
But you moved back permanently in 2020?
Yeah, just maybe 3 months ago.
Right, yeah, definitely. Okay, now, how has the experience been so far since you moved in permanently? Even though you've been back and forth, but it's not the same as moving here 24/7, you're in Ghana. How's the experience like?
It's completely different. It's completely different. I will definitely say that I had one impression that it was going to be a little easier because I had been here so frequently. I have a good community here, a good group of friends who are both expats and Ghanaians, and I just kind of visualized that it would be an easier transition. But as you and the whole world is experiencing COVID and the challenges that come from COVID, it's much more difficult. I actually planned on moving here in March, and I had shipped containers here and everything, and the border closed, and so I found myself being stuck away from my personal belongings and then not having any sort of residency or any ways to get inside of the country and the whole world being at a standstill. And then coming out of that in September and moving, I mean, just little things that were noticeable, paying rent for a year in advance. I don't speak Twi. I'm used to driving because I'm from Los Angeles.
Right.
And then here, not only do I not drive, but like the roads are different. So it was quite the adjustment. But overall, and by and large, it was the best decisions I've ever made.
Well, what has been the most challenging moments for you since you got back?
Well, my water has gone out a few times.
I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately.
My power, and I just had to really check myself that these are conveniences and creature comforts that I am so used to that I didn't realize, how difficult it would be and how normal it is that some aspects of some life in Ghana, the power just goes out. It comes back, and it comes back hopefully pretty soon, but it does happen, and it has happened at very inconvenient times. I also have an 85-year-old father who came to visit me.
Right.
And I've noticed that when we're walking, like the uneven pavement and surfaces and different things, I'm very concerned about either, him falling or me necessarily trying to hold on to him. But I will say everything, all being considered, I mean, I want to answer your question as honestly and transparently, but those things are so minor.
Right.
And so small in comparison to how amazing and wonderful my quality of life has been.
What has been that motivating factor? Well, I believe. Well, before I get to that again, well, your father maybe will be thinking, well, where am I? Why is all? Have you had an interaction with him? Has he expressed any displeasure of being here?
No, he has not.
Okay.
But I want to say, a lot of my friends, peers, family, when I made the decision and I was sort of thinking about it and weighing it back and forth,
right?
They just couldn't comprehend it. They didn't understand, like, what would make you leave. Los Angeles is a place where people come. They have aspirations of being in Hollywood. It's this glamorized
city of angels.
And that's where I'm from. Yeah, it's the city of angels. It's got the beach. It's got the great weather. It's got, the industry of Hollywood is there and everything. So people really from there could not conceptualize what would make me move so far away, right, let alone to Accra.
But tell me, what has been that motivating factor, that thing that actually got you to take this bold decision? What is that thing?
Well, I have lived abroad before. I loved being abroad and working abroad and being in an expat environment. I do think that it was coincidental. I came to Accra for the first time in 2016, and I was here for the election. And I'll put my politics aside. I'll just say that when I was here, I almost didn't go back on the plane then. And it took me coming back and forth multiple times. I couldn't get Ghana out of my system. I couldn't get Accra out of my system. And when I got to this place of, hey, I think I need to go for it, it was the first and most natural choice for me.
Wow.
And I think given what's going on in my country and my realization that, the systemic racism and injustice will never get to the place where I would feel personal comfort, I need to be around people who look and think and breathe and behave like me and welcome me.
Right. Now, so tell me, what is that thing that you feel you're okay, you're relieved from but when you left, the diaspora, more of like that one thing that, what, I'm glad I left this behind and I'm actually experiencing a new leaf. What is that one thing that's more like it's a challenge for you up there?
When I was in certain aspects of my life in the West, I always felt a little stressed. I always felt a little concern for my safety, my personal safety, being, from a place where there's a lot of crime, a lot of violence. I think one of the things that I have experienced about America is its gun culture. And you end up finding a place where you come to Accra and the interactions with the police are peaceable. The idea that I can go walking at night, or the idea that I've even traveled all over Ghana, and I've been in all situations and never felt that my personal security would be jeopardized or violated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So tell me, is there anything capable of breaking that bond that you have established with Ghana? That one thing that would go like, you know what? I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going back to the States.
I don't think I would leave and go back to the States.
Great news.
But let me answer it very honestly. I did want to come pre-COVID, obviously, but I wanted to come and have a sort of like anchor and then explore other parts of Africa. I've been all around, but I haven't been to certain parts in the east and certain parts in the north.
Right.
So I wanted to say, okay, well, where can I get a direct flight back to the U.S.? But also, in having a direct flight back to the U.S., have other direct flights to other parts of Africa. So that was kind of strategic on my part.
Right.
And it's interesting that we're talking about the subject of migration, because I think migration implies that there's a sort of like two-way street happening. I will always be American. I will always go back to Los Angeles. I will always have family and friends to visit. And so I don't plan on being here and then just sort of doing away with my American citizenship.
And all.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Neglecting, exactly.
Right,
I want to make sure that for myself and then also for others who might be inspired to come here, that they feel there's a connection to going back and forth.
Wonderful.
You can be based here.
Great. Well, I have my three colleagues right here with me, and I believe each and every one of them have a question for you. I'll begin with Epi. Epi, you're live.
Hi. So when you were speaking, you actually made mention of the fact that you actually could walk out at night and it felt safer. I just wanted to, can we establish the fact that for you, you felt more safer here than you actually did
Absolutely.
feel when you were over there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, personal safety and like the fact that even just the things that we take for granted in Ghana are so prevalent in the West. So, for instance, the fact that even if you had an interaction with a police officer, that it wouldn't turn lethal, or that if you were to leave your cell phone out, someone might try and find you to give it back to you. You know, I've had that happen here. That would never happen in Los Angeles, not in a million years. I'm sure there's other cities. America is a very diverse place, but one thing it is not is a place where Black people feel a sense of acceptance and home and safety. And I plan on having a Black husband. I plan on having Black children.
Wow.
And me myself.
That's amazing.
I plan
Interesting.
on walking down the street. I think I'm going to stay Black for the rest of my life.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
It'd be nice,
Beautiful.
yes.
Well, Hafiz is also here, and he has a question for you. Hafiz, go.
Yes, madam, thank you for joining us.
Mhm.
Yes, so quickly, I would like to know the problem you still have to deal with, even after moving out here.
The problems I still have to deal with, language for sure is a barrier for me. Oftentimes I feel misunderstood, or maybe I am misunderstanding the other person. I don't necessarily like that feeling. I'm a communications person and a communications consultant, so I really stress being able to effectively communicate, and I've had a lot of challenges with that in Ghana. But at the same time, like I said, I've lived abroad before. One of the places I lived was in South America, and I speak fluent Spanish, and you just have to learn the language. So I'm taking some advantage of getting to learn Twi phrases and Fanti, and, you know, by the time that I'm here in a year, I'm sure I'll pick it up, or just figure out other strategies, other approaches to making sure that I can communicate very much so clearly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, how many African countries have you traveled to aside Ghana?
5.
5, namely?
Namely Morocco, Kenya, Togo, and South Africa.
Okay, I think you've
And
done
many
the cardinal points: north, east, west, south. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Wonderful. But then
And they're so different from each other.
okay, just give me one difference that you see you found in Morocco that it's not in West Africa.
Well, you know, people speak Arabic there.
Okay,
They're much
okay, the
more,
language, right?
The religion, certainly much more influenced by the Arab culture. I really hadn't thought about, I mean, I think one of the things when I come to West Africa is how different it is from the West. But when you're in North Africa, it's quite similar to the West. I mean, there's so much exchange of ideas, and has always been, between Spain and France and all of these places in the Mediterranean that are very conveniently located. So the influence, even in the food and other aspects of architecture, are so prevalent that it kind of felt very similar to when I visited Europe.
Right.
And I mean, I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed being in such an ancient city. That's what I love about the whole continent, and what I'm curious about in exploration.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for sharing. So tell us, or tell the world listening to you right about now, what would be that beautiful thing you would say to people out there who see Africa, you know, the countries in Africa, Ghana, as that place where, you know, you go and it's not you know, an appealing place for you to be at, and it's more of like is all suffering, is all this, is all that. What beautiful thing would you tell listeners, you know, right about now, to make them come back home?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, one of the things that I work with, one of the organizations I work with is Birthright Africa.
Right.
I'm a Birthright Africa ambassador, and Birthright Africa aims to bring 13 to 30-year-olds back to their ancestral homeland for exploration. And I think until you come, you cannot write Africa off. And what is the most beautiful thing about Ghana, and what is the most beautiful thing in overarching context about Africa, is that it's our home. We belong. We're welcomed. We're celebrated here. And at the end of the day, I feel that you would never, ever, 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 ever be able to put into words the feeling of what it means to have
Beautiful.
yourself return to Africa.
Wonderful experience. Thank you very much for sharing all of these, wonderful experiences with us on the Africa Daily Show. And we will definitely, be reaching out to you. Maybe if we get a husband, maybe we could recommend one for you.
I would like that. I want to have my Ghanaian wedding.
Wonderful,
here,
wonderful. I could be
please.
the back. Yeah, definitely. We have maid of honors here. They could be representing as well.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
hold you to that.
Thank you. No
But that's
problem.
all right.
Thank you very much for joining us, Madam Keren Johnson. Was live with us on the Africa Daily Show. What an experience, Charlie. You don't have the. You see, I love the fact that she made that comment, re-emphasized on the fact that you don't have to fear communicating or having an interaction with the police, and after all,
In Ghana.
everything ending up, in more of like you getting hurt and all of that. I like that. That's that
bit.
point she made, which is very, very interesting.
Yes, largely I think she's hammered on security a lot. Yes. If you listen to what she said, I mean, she casually put in the gun violence.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
without ending up, in a
Yes.
fatality.
Yes, and also, do you realize that it means when you lose an item in America, don't expect
No,
to
don't get it back. Nah.
So-
Tell me to hear and pass you.
So it only means Ghanaians are good people. Kudos to Ghanaians for making her feel welcome
Right.
and making her feel safe.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not easy. I mean, we are told it's the land of the free and brave out there.
Yeah.
And,
But it's
she's
not
had
free,
to-
actually.
Yes. And she's had to enumerate all these challenges. Who knew?
Who
Yes,
knew,
I know.
actually?
So
Yeah.
imagine trying to tell someone over here,
Mm.
okay, don't go. These are the challenges you're about to face. I mean, do you think they will still want to go?
I think you
Well,
heard
with
what the
her-
man said. There's some people who are bent
At
on
all
going,
costs.
no matter
But you see,
what.
but you see, hearing it from one who grew up in one of the biggest cities in the USA, Los Angeles. I mean, City of Angels, Hollywood, glitz and glams, the beaches and everything. I mean, one who is very conscious would want to listen. That's everyone who really, really thinks about his welfare and how is everything going to turn out to be out there. They would actually listen. Epi.
I'm very happy about the security aspect, just like Hafiz has already emphasized. I think, for one, we take it too lightly. We take it for granted here because we haven't seen the other side of not necessarily having a safe
You
environment.
can't talk to a
be
policeman
in.
and
Exactly.
scared of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think she appreciates him more than it seems we do because we don't know how it is like. And being able to move around at night, I mean, walk
Normally-
the streets, as
normally
much as we even believe it's dangerous here
Yeah, but
sometimes.
she feels
it's
it's,
not-
it's
it's
safe.
safer
I think
in
that's a
some
good, that's
way,
a
so-
very good, what do you call it? Sign,
Yes.
to the people outside, which of course would bring about more tourism, tourists, and all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
But that's the thing. You don't appreciate the little things until
till
you lose
someone
it.
tells you
Yes.
about it,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Because I mean, who knew just walking around on the street is something that
You'd have-
would push you to want to make a whole journey across the globe. So it's interesting that something as that small alone is
Right.
is an important
And
factor.
she made mention about Morocco having certain similarities with the West.
Okay.
Having sharing same ideas and everything. There's a bit of similarity she made mention of when she visited Morocco, which I think that's how it is. It might not be. It's not equal, but it could have certain characteristics that you find here and there. I mean, someone visits South Africa and go like, what, that place is just like America, So that's how it is. But unfortunately, what is being, put out there by God knows who, it's not really painting that picture. I mean, we have beautiful places here: Mauritius, Cape Verde. What's that island again? Seychelles, El Guna in Egypt. So I think it's an interesting conversation that we had, and I love every bit of it. Mommy?
Barry.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad Karen loves it here. I mean, if she has talked, safety is important.
Absolutely. I think that's the topmost.
And yesterday there was a video on the news of a
A
young
guy
black
that was
teenager
big,
being beaten
in North
brutally
London. Yes.
in the
Sorry
United Kingdom.
to our listeners, we actually failed to mention that. But then thank you for reminding us. It's actually one of those things.
And it has sparked Black Lives Matter,
Matter
protests
protest
again in the United Kingdom. So I think she emphasizing more
It's because it's a problem. It's
on
a
the
big,
safety is great. I mean, she can be an advocate. She says she's working with Birthright Africa.
Yeah,
Birthright
yeah.
Africa,
I mean,
yes.
so I believe that is a good thing because
Right.
then she has this personal experience, and it's
Exactly.
it's not just imaginary assing. I mean, maybe when I come back home, it will be safer
will be-
there.
yeah.
This is somebody who has come back
Absolutely.
and who has experience and who can tell other
Yeah.
people. I mean, you could be contemplating moving back home. You could be skeptical about it, but I have done it, and even though she hasn't been here for long, she's been here for like
But
3
the
months.
little she has seen.
Yeah, it's like home is not perfect.
Yeah, it's a good
but
enough reason.
home is home. I mean, we have a lights card.
When she mentioned the lights and water, I mean, when she mentioned Charlie, it has caught up to you,
So I mean,
anyway.
in as much as home is not perfect,
Yeah.
home is home, and
But
there's
I'd
no
rather
place
struggle
like
with
home.
lights and electricity than to lose my life.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's fair enough.
I think it's a fair trade.
Absolutely. The show was Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio. Quite an interesting session we had here with Keren Johnson.